6 o'clock, I will call the City of Allegan City Council meeting to order for Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Could I please have roll call?
Commissioner Clark.
Councilman Clark, not Commissioner.
Yes, Councilman Clark, thank you for the correction. Councilman Westover. Councilmember Walker.
Present.
Councilman Canales. Councilwoman Melanie Hooker.
Present.
Yeah, you threw me off, I apologize. Mayor Pro Tem Hands.
Present.
Mayor Perigo.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
All right, I just want to say, Will never answered. We kind of got off.
Councilmember Walker.
Yes.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
All right,
All
thank you.
members are present.
All right, if you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, moving down to agenda item number 4 is 4A, approval of the regular council meeting agenda for February 23rd, 2026. And there are no additions or changes. Could I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 5A is approval of the regular council meeting minutes from February 9th, 2026. I am not aware of any corrections. If there are none, could I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Support. All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving down to agenda item 7A is first reading of ordinance 536 to rezone parcel 0351251-04100 from TN2 Transitional Residential Neighborhood District to PUD Planned Unit Development District and schedule a second reading and public hearing for March 9th, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is a rezoning ordinance. This property is a 2.15. Their plan is to construct a 52-unit, 3-story high building that will be marketed to workforce housing. As part of this project, they will be going through a process of applying for a PILT, which is a payment in lieu of taxes for the city of Allegan, as well as some low-income housing tax credits through the state of Michigan. As to make this development a possibility, they also have to get it rezoned and the development plan approved. The Planning Commission reviewed this meeting, or this application at their February 17th meeting. They held a public hearing. No comments were received during the public hearing. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve this development with the condition that the applicant submit a full development plan, which means all engineering studies, lighting, landscaping, et cetera, to staff for our review and approval. As council is well aware, ordinances is a two-step process with the city of Allegan. The first step is this first reading, and then your second step is the public hearing and second reading at a subsequent meeting. And we're recommending that subsequent meeting to be March 9th, 2026. Any questions from council for staff? It's a little unique because you already saw this whole development at your last meeting when we discussed the PILT. So the applicant is here to discuss this and the PILT, which is coming up next on the agenda. So if you have specific questions about the development as it relates to the rezoning request and a planned unit development request, we can go ahead and have those conversations with the applicant now, or you can go ahead and just schedule the public hearing for March 9th.
Yeah, I would like to understand the timing. This was put in, is it normally this way?
Yeah.
This didn't we know that this needed to be rezoned right in the beginning, or is this still, this is the
This is following what I would call an appropriate process. or, schedule of events. For us to receive a rezoning application and go through that process, there is a conceptual plan that has to be developed by the applicant. For rezonings, we have 30-day notices. So this has been in our hopper before you guys received the information on the PILT process.
And I think they have to have a vested interest, or at least some sort of interest in the property to start with before they would even apply to start with. And they just got a sale, beginning of this year?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah, the purchase and development agreement at the beginning
They'd
of
have
this
to
year.
have that
So,
before
yeah,
they could even
yeah.
apply, because they didn't have an interest in the property.
Okay.
Any questions, any other questions regarding the rezoning request? Again, this is the first reading. You're just having the first reading tonight and scheduling the public hearing for March 9th.
Can I get a motion to schedule a second reading and public hearing for March 9th, 2026?
I'll make a motion that we schedule the second reading and public hearing for March 9th, 2026.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any other comments, questions from council on this item? No? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, now we'll move down to 8A, which is public hearing, second reading, and adoption of ordinance 535 to approve a payment in lieu of taxes in the amount of 3% for parcel 0351251041000.
Thank you, Mayor. Following up on the previous agenda item, this is ordinance that will be approving the payment in lieu of taxes for this parcel. Craig Patterson, representing Rhoda Cooper, the developer, is in the audience this evening. You received a presentation from Craig and his associate George at your last meeting. Craig is here to answer any other questions that the council may have regarding this PILT. This PILT is for a 3%, meaning that the city of Allegan will receive 3% of the rents minus the utilities in lieu of property taxes being paid on this. I believe currently we have a total of 4 PILTs in the community right now. This would be our 5th one, if I'm not mistaken. In addition to that, we have several properties that don't pay taxes at all. Any city-owned properties do not pay taxes. Any county-owned properties like the courthouse and the jail do not pay taxes. Any federal buildings like the post office do not pay taxes. We also don't receive taxes from any of the nonprofit-owned properties in the city of Allegan, nor any churches in the city of Allegan pay property taxes. Any questions for staff regarding this before you hold the public hearing or invite the applicant to the podium to discuss this application?
Do you have any questions? Well, okay. All right, any questions on this side? No. All right, at 6:08, I will open the public hearing for anyone from the public who has a comment on this item. I am not seeing anyone from the public who wishes to talk on this, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing. All right, council. I will need a motion, because we have to motion in the positive, to adopt ordinance 535.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 535.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any other comments, questions for staff from council?
I just have one, because I did ask about what the difference in the tax base would be, and Joel did respond back to me today on that it would be approximately $20,000 a year is the losses of, the difference
Okay.
between if they were just to remain a fully taxed property or to get a PILT
Okay.
at the 3%.
Okay. So instead of approximately 13, be 33.
Approximately, yes,
Okay.
depending on the actual value. So when we do, when we try to estimate taxes, we estimate what we think the value of the building would be, and all we are looking at is land and square footage of the building. And that's how we come up with a valuation. So,
All right. And Will, you have something else?
Yes. Craig, the you had mentioned last time that possibly to get people in, you have their income, and if they're over the 80%, you might work with people to get them in, you know, lower that down a little bit, or look at it lower.
Well, first of all, just so everybody knows, we go through a full landlord criminal check. Our management company goes through that, and then they certify incomes. If there's a couple guidelines we go by. If somebody qualifies with income, landlord check, criminal background, and yet they are a little bit shaky in terms of whether or not the combination of their rent and their utilities they pay gets them over a 30% threshold for total. Then we will work with them and sometimes be able to stretch our internal, but we look more deeply into their income base, et cetera. That's what we can do. If they're over income, there's nothing we can do. MISTA says if it's an 80% unit, for example, and they exceed 80% income, household income, then there's not much we can do to help that. But in that range from 30 to 80, there is some flexibility to work with the tenant, if I understand the question correctly,
Yeah, that explains it.
Councilman Walker.
Yep, thank you.
Craig, also, will you just remind us, because I remember you talking about your financing or something, so if it was anything more than 3% or the full taxes, you wouldn't get your funding, correct? Or you wouldn't be able to build, or what was that about?
Well, let me reiterate what I said, and just so everybody understands. First of all, without a pilot at any percentage, we would not get funded. But then it comes down to the percentage of pilot, the 3% in this case, which we look at our pro formas, we look at the equity price that is given at this date, what we think we're going to get for equity from the investors. And then we look at all that to make sure that between the pilot percentage and what we project to be our budgets, whether or not only can we get funded with our financials, but can we sustain the property long-term through the compliance period. And you may remember that we're asking for a 45-year pilot because we're going to keep it affordable for 45 years. But the first hurdle is to make sure our investors are comfortable after the fact that we had the pilot to make it, and that's why the 3%. One of the things we found out, and I mentioned this to Councilman Walker earlier, is we found out that the equity price for housing tax credits has dropped in the last 5 years. And what we used to get in a community like this was somewhere around 90 cents to 92 cents per housing tax credit. The latest we heard from our financial group last week is now we're going to be fortunate to get 80 cents. So you can see the difference between 92 and 80 is very significant, which means even more so the 3% is so important. Did that answer? Thank you.
I have a question on utilities, water and sewer. So will each unit will be separate for water and sewer? Or
Well,
not?
there'll be a master meter,
Okay,
and then the owner will be responsible from a standpoint of if by chance the tenant doesn't pay, but the tenants do pay for their water. We're asking MISTA, our pro forma says that the tenants will pay for the water, sewer, electric, gas. Now, in some cases, MISTA, we don't know, MISTA may come back and say the owner has to pay for water and sewer. Generally, they always agree. that the tenant pays, and that's in the pro forma. And, but when it came to the pilot calculation, I can explain how that works, but that only, the only way those utilities are counted in the pilot calculation are common utilities.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, so there is a motion on the table. All those in favor of adopting ordinance 535, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Moving down to agenda item number 9 is the first public comment section of the evening. If you have a public comment, please approach the podium and state your name and address. And we try to keep them to 3 minutes, but I don't think there's a lot of public comment tonight, so if you go a little over, it's all right. All right.
I'm David Sturgis. I live at 317 Bridge Road, and I'm a retired city employee. I had 18 years with the city in the water distribution.
I can have you, you can just hand them to Charles and he can pass it down. Thank you.
So I'm
Sorry.
here about the water main break. I want to give credit to Zach and all the staff for the job they did, the work they did. However, the magnitude of this event was preventable. And so there I hold the city manager responsible, and I can explain this later. On Wednesday, February 18th, approximately 7:15 p.m., I observed a water main break and notified staff. By early the next morning, it became apparent that wrong valves had been shut down, and as a result, the school down Bridge Road, Pine Trails, had no water, and a large portion of the city was without water. These people should never have been affected, and water pressure was dropped throughout the city. None of this should have ever happened if the right valves were turned. And mine's a little bit shorter than yours, because I didn't think I had time to get through that. So, 15 hours after the discovery of the water main break, there was still no clear plan of keeping, or trying to find a way to turn the water back on to these residents that shouldn't have been shut off. It was just decided to leave it off, I guess. The 4-inch main that failed was over 100 years old and fed nothing. All services were transferred to the 8-inch main back in 2016 with detailed maps and drawings of this area. There was no need to shut down large sections of the city until the main was exposed and ready for repair. No water needed to be off. Once exposed, the repair should have taken less than 3 hours. It should have been limited to 11 homes out of water once they shut it off. That's all that should have ever been out of water, is 11 homes. No businesses, no schools, apartments, condos, or other residents should have been out of water. And I've provided all those, the 11 home addresses on there, and the Robinson Manor. Instead, 3 unnecessary excavation places were made in the state highway, and half the city experienced pressure loss due to improper shutdown. These decisions will result in unnecessary repair costs and contractor expenses that the taxpayer will bear. Since the hiring of Joel Dye, the city manager, employee turnover has increased significantly. Long-term experience and institutional knowledge do not appear to be valued. This event demonstrates the serious consequences of disregarding those experience. This lack of employee appreciation and belief that all are replaceable was also evident in the attempts to eliminate our city police department. To summarize, only 11 homes should have been affected, approximately 3 hours or less of time. There should only be one hole on Marshall Street, no disruption to schools, businesses, or residents, or others than those 11 that I've stated. The water mishap will cost taxpayers dearly, and my question to the council is, when is enough enough? That's it.
All right.
I gotta start a timer, or how's that go?
Yeah,
All
Parker's got it.
All right. Well, sorry, I'm not used to all of this public speaking yet, except to my own court. So, good evening, Mayor Perigo and City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I know that the work of the City Council is where the rubber meets the road, so I appreciate you carving out a few minutes for me.
Chris, could you stop and state your name, please, for
I'm
everyone?
sorry,
Because
yes.
I know you, but not everybody
okay,
does.
Yes.
And I
So-
don't know you because I was in your courtroom. I don't want people to think that either.
Right, fair enough. So my name is Christopher Burnett. I live here in Allegan on Thomas Street, and I was appointed 57th District Court Judge by the governor in August, and I will be on the ballot in November. And so I'm making rounds at city councils and township meetings, and I'm just getting the hang of the public speaking, so I appreciate everyone's patience with me. Yes, I'm here to introduce myself and share why this community and this court mean so much to me. I graduated from Allegan High School in 1995, but my family's commitment to this area goes back much further. My parents, Jim and Becky Burnett, moved here in 1975. My father opened his practice, Burnett and Castron, across the street from the courthouse after returning from Vietnam and serving as prosecutor in Howell. My mother spent her career teaching, first at Head Start and then in Allegan Public Schools. Service is in our DNA. Today, my wife Bethany continues that teaching tradition at Allegan Public Schools. We have a deep fondness for Allegan and this part of the state. We're raising our 3 children here in this district. Whether it's a school sporting event, a township meeting, we are invested in Allegan because it's where we've built our lives. Before taking the bench, I spent nearly 20 years in the trenches of our local legal system. While I do understand that I have had privileges in my life, I try not to take those for granted. After high school, I worked second shift at Perigo on both the liquids and pills lines. While at Michigan State, I worked as a janitor, a security guard, and as a courier. That work ethic followed me into my law practice, where I represented parents in neglect and abuse cases, defended indigent people, and served as a prosecutor for many of our surrounding municipalities like Fenville, Saugatuck, Douglas, Wayland, Otsego, and Plainwell. I've also sat where you are sitting. I've served as the chairperson of the City of Allegan Zoning Board of Appeals for about 6 years. I think I checked with Tracy, and it was around that. And as involved in that, I understand the importance of listening to all sides, interpreting ordinances fairly, and making tough decisions that impact people's property and lives. I've never sought a judicial seat before being appointed or ventured into politics. I was very happy in my private practice, but when Judge Belargin resigned, I felt a calling to serve more people. As an attorney, I protected my clients. As a judge, I protect the system. In these polarizing times, our courts need to be a reassuring, stable presence. My North Star is the Constitution, and by following the Constitution and the laws, I would like to think that I am able to reach just results. I'm currently presiding over our Regional Veterans Treatment Court and Sobriety Treatment Court, offering alternatives that change lives. Whether I am performing a wedding or, when necessary, sentencing someone to jail, I do so without prejudgment. I listen to every person who stands before me, and I respect their time. My door is always open to the City Council. I look forward to working alongside you to keep Allegan County a fair and stable place to live and work. Thank you for your time. And I do have a basketball game to get to. I would stick around, but my daughter's playing basketball, so thank you all.
Yes. Is there any other public comment for tonight? All right, seeing none, we will move down to agenda item number 10A, which is a request from Allegan District Library for a waiver of park rental fees for use of the Hanson Park Gazebo for 2 summer reading program sessions to occur on July 8th and August 12th, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, you have a request from the Allegan District Library. They would like a waiver of the fees to utilize Hanson Park Gazebo for some summer reading program sessions. You can tell them the agenda title and then the letter that was included in your packet. That is July 8th and August 12th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
All right. was
Any
there-
questions for staff?
I don't think so. Could I get a motion to waive the park rental fees?
I will make that motion.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving down to 11A1 is a review of the February 2026 Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes. For the DDA in February, we talked about the wayfinding signage options, and a subcommittee made up of 2 of the DDA members, Lacey Schmidt and Roger Bird, were appointed to that. Talked about snow removal and the refuse and recycling contract and budgets. The recycling fees that we're getting hit with is with the corrugate recycling and it being contaminated. And then the ask of the DDA is when we get out into the summer months to start thinking about the snow removal program and bringing different options, or maybe thinking outside the box, because the budget this year was just blown out of the water with the snow we got in January. So that is a task for the DDA to talk about and what maybe ideas they have for that. And then I don't think there was anything else of significance, Parker? Okay, all right, any questions? Yeah.
I'm curious about the business resource team. There was an update, but what's their function, what updates?
Yeah, the business resource team was established back in August, so they're still a relatively new subcommittee of the DDA. There are 4 business owners that are a part of that, and their task is essentially just to kind of be a welcome wagon, which are words that they've thrown around too, so I don't want anyone to think that that was insulting to the group, but what they do, it's their job. We have prospective business owners that come to Allegan and kick tires all the time. One of those months ago was Councilmember Clark, and I was the staff person that sat down with, at the time, Charles, and kind of talked through what it's like to open a business in downtown Allegan, of which I might know some, but I don't know it like somebody who actually does it. And so that was kind of the thought process behind getting this group of folks together that could be the point people, and also kind of put together a little welcome basket with information, need to know stuff, things like the trash program, things like parking in the downtown, things like our downtown lowdown meetings and DDA meetings and all that kind of stuff, and package it all together so that they can just be delivered to folks who are interested or seriously considering opening a business. So,
Are we seeing any
yeah,
traction there?
yeah, they were able to meet. Like I said, it was formed in August, and by late September, October, it was around the time that we had our open house for the downtown project. We had an individual that had reached out, sent me an email and said, "Hey, I heard about your downtown resource team, business resource team. How do I get in contact with them?" And at that point, we hadn't even made any announcements. This individual just happened to see it by reading the minutes from our DDA meetings. So, yeah, that individual's been kicking tires and was able to speak with those folks on the business resource team. So,
Okay, thanks.
All right, moving down to 11A2 is a review of the February 2026 Public Spaces Committee meeting minutes. Looks like Assistant City Manager Parker Johnson.
yes, it was a rather light agenda. Each year now for the past 3 years, we've established a community cleanup date, which previously has taken place in the fall. We did the Water Street Boardwalk area between Smiles and the very end there, Riverbanks Pet Resort. Cleaned all that up a couple of years ago, and then we did Hanson Park and the area around the Griswold, that lawn. And then last year, it kind of morphed into the community block party, where we did the 4 quads of the Rossman Esplanade. And it was around that time that we decided that we wanted to move our community cleanup into the spring rather than the fall. So this year, the board established Oakwood Cemetery as the place to do that. We'll be focusing on the areas surrounding the chapel, they're the old fountains that are in there, the kind of circular areas, and then along like the fence lines of the property. We won't be getting into, it's a very large piece of property to clean up, and we also don't want to get into trimming bushes or trees that may have been planted there for somebody, by somebody, and getting around graves and stuff. So we'll be focusing on more of the areas that don't have headstones. And then we also talked about the proposed improvements to the Griswold, which we're going to preview in a little bit, as well as the downtown improvement project and the Rossman neighborhood improvement project coming up this year. Just keeping those boards up to date.
Parker, can you state when that cleanup is, just
Yes,
public that is watching?
absolutely. It has been scheduled for May 15th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a Friday. We pick Fridays so that way we can have city staff, DPW staff available as well. They kind of just dedicate the whole day as a crew to come out and provide equipment and hands and be able to haul stuff. And then our rain date is May 22nd, the following week.
Okay.
Only question I had on that was, are we gonna put that on our community calendar on the website as well as put it out on our Facebook?
Absolutely.
That way we get some use of the community calendar since it doesn't seem to have much on it right now.
Yep.
All right, thank you. 11A3 is review of the February 2026 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting minutes. And Assistant City Manager Parker Johnson.
Yes, I stood in for City Manager Dye on this meeting. Again, same as the public spaces, it was a very light agenda. The board approved a variance request for a property at 47 Wayne Street. It's a kind of elongated property that stretches from Wayne to Kalamazoo, and the property owner was looking to split the property, so it'll have a Wayne Street facing side and a Kalamazoo Street facing property, and the board approved that variance.
Okay, thank you. All right, 11A, oh, did you have a question? Sorry, Will.
I do. Just curious, 3 surrounding property owners were against it.
Mhm.
So what was the, how was the discussion to go against that?
Yeah, there were there were 3 people present. 2 of them spoke, and somebody else submitted an email as well. All of them speaking against the request. The board found that just based on the findings that they felt comfortable approving it. Historically, I think really what they kind of hung their hat on, the original plotting of that area, the Rossman Edition as it was called, all of those properties were split exactly how the property owner is asking to split it. So it's just kind of going back to its original plotting. All of those properties now have been combined and widened and expanded, so they're all quite large swaths out there. This one is just a smaller one that's exactly as it was probably 100 years ago. So.
Okay. Interesting.
All right, 11A4 is a review of the February 2026 Planning Commission meeting minutes and Councilperson Westover.
Thank you, Mayor. So the meeting, we discussed and had a public hearing and discussion on the Low Street property regarding rezoning. Then we also had a discussion regarding a small, tiny home development on Russell Street. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any questions? No? Okay. 11E1 is a request to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Are we on 11B1?
Oh, sorry, I skipped right over that. I'm just like.
That's
moving
okay.
along. Patrick's, or Peter's like, what? 11B1 is a request to approve a budget adjustment for downtown winter maintenance.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. For the second consecutive year, we are in front of council asking for a budget adjustment to increase the budget for our downtown sidewalk winter maintenance line item. We contract out with Westing Services. They charge us $1,100 per snow removal and $500 per de-icing. Currently, right now, we are $20,000, approximately $20,000 over budget. We estimate we're going to spend another $10,000 through the month of February, so we need a total budget adjustment of $30,000. As the mayor mentioned at the last DDA meeting, Parker Johnson and myself brought this up to the DDA, and we said this is going to be a topic of discussion at the next meeting. I would offer that this is a third year of a 3-year contract with Wesleyan Services. When you look at 23-24 on the screen, that was a light winter. And unfortunately, we probably use that as a benchmark when setting the budget for the next 2 years. And so when we move into next year, we're going to have to look at a heavier line item for this, or have a larger, more in-depth, crucial conversation with the DDA and downtown business owners about winter maintenance on the sidewalks. This is a relatively new program. We started this in 2018, on maintaining our sidewalks. At that time, we had quite a few vacant first floor stores and snow just piled up. We have less vacant, storefronts right now than we did back then. I just think there has to be a larger conversation, and that's why we instructed the DDA to dive into this.
This is just downtown sidewalk winter maintenance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, geez. I thought it was streets.
No.
downtown
No. So out, like, Will, you live on Cutler Street. When you see the Ventrac go by, that's Lori, our DPW employee. Yeah, so that, we don't, the city doesn't charge the city $1,100 every time we go out to clear the snow in our city. That's a service we provide to the residents.
This is the sidewalks. The sidewalks traditionally and under our ordinances are the responsibility of the business. When we made this change, we didn't take in account of charging the downtown business owners anything for this added service.
And then I also would offer, I think, when we updated all the ordinances most recently, we also made that a requirement for residents as well. It's their responsibility to remove snow from the sidewalks in front of their houses.
I thought this, we actually changed that because the sidewalks are actually owned by the city. Well, either way, this was originally on the downtown business owners back in 2016, 2017. I remember that there was quite a few vacancies in buildings that weren't doing their plowing, weren't doing their shoveling. So you kind of have a choice in here. Either we enforce the ordinance fully, which includes actually charging them when we have to go out and clear the sidewalks, to do assessments on them and do fines when they don't do what they're required to under the ordinance. Or we come up with some sort of assessment for downtown sidewalks, if we still want it to be the responsibility of the business owners. It's still technically their responsibility. We're doing it, and they're getting this added service, and we're not getting reimbursed for it at all. And we're saying it's supposed to be their job.
You also need to take into consideration some of the businesses clearing their sidewalks prior to the plows coming through.
Yeah. There's some of those, but yeah, it's was a problem back in 2016, 2017. The Chicago Title Company was one of them, and of many businesses that were not clearing their sidewalks. So this is something that I think what did the downtown development have to say about any type of assessment?
They really had nothing to share. I think they were as shocked with the cost of the winter maintenance for this year. So, yeah.
Or about the recycling contamination, because I have some ideas on that as well.
Well, recycling, no one really wants to get rid of it, but there seems to be, from the studies that Parker and I think Ryan have done, it's this one over here by the Regent that is the problem. So maybe, I don't know, remove that recycled bin and have more recycling over behind Country House, I think is what they had talked about. But I think it was more, people throwing out ideas and just kind of taking that to come back in the upcoming months and talk about it more in depth of,
Yeah, because on the trash program, I was for taking that overage and saying, well, if we assume we're gonna have that same overage this year, applying that onto their bill this year as a surcharge that can be refunded if we don't have the overage. At the same time, also educating the users, all the people downtown, that only this can go into recycling. Don't overfill the dumpster, all those type of things, because then they could get it back at the end of the year if they all behaved.
Is it really only corrugate that can be recycled down here?
Yeah.
Paper and.
But it can't be shredded? Isn't that, that's what some of it is?
Well, it's the shredded where it's inside a plastic bag.
Right,
So you can't put plastic into the recycling.
It
yeah,
can't be any shredded paper.
Yeah, cannot be any shredded paper.
right, so, I mean, it's, yeah.
I think part of that would be probably putting signs actually on those
Wow,
dumpsters of
and
what's
that was
acceptable.
one thing that, Lacey Schmidt brought up, is maybe have more signs in their face. But yeah, I think it was just kind of brainstorming and to come back to
You can't put
DDA.
pizza boxes in
Right.
recycling. The minute there's grease on the pizza box, it's contaminated.
So
It has to be
like-
completely clean.
That would be clear signs, educational material sent out to all the subscribers. and
Well, and they
residents that use
talked
it.
about that and said sometimes it's only going to, the building owner that, or the apartment building owner, so the residents, the renters aren't getting the information.
We do have that
so,
material and we do send that out, but
yeah, it's
like the
not
mayor
getting to
said.
the renters,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Big signage, QR code to say, you want to know what's allowed in here, go to our website for more details, whatever, just something to help. But on the sidewalks, we definitely do have to discuss if this is going to be an ongoing, if we want to continue this going into the future. I don't know what the rest of the council feels about this. I was okay with some sort of assessment if the city's still saying that the businesses are responsible for the clearing of the sidewalk. Why aren't they getting assessed currently under it? And if they're not responsible for it, then this is just a cost of us as, on the city. And we're saying the city's taking it over and that's the way it'll be in the future and
And just for clarification, section 2541 of the city's ordinance, responsibility for sidewalks adjacent to properties. The owner or occupant of every property within the city, occupied or vacant, on which a sidewalk abuts, shall keep the abutting portion of the sidewalk free and clear of snow, ice, or other obstructions which could impair or impede public travel. For purposes of this section, any accumulation of 2 or more inches of snow on a sidewalk shall be presumed to impair or impede public travel. Such accumulation shall be removed within 48 hours of the cessation of snowfall. So that is city-wide, regardless if it's a downtown business, a rental, an owner-occupied, a church, a commercial entity, et cetera.
yeah, I'm just saying, when the program started, it was only the business, only downtown. Now it's expanded the whole city that technically residents are responsible.
So can I, was that ordinance enacted when this program for cleaning the sidewalk was made?
Now, that ordinance was updated most recently when the city council reviewed all of their ordinances, and we went chapter by chapter. That was in 23.
23, we updated that, but this program's been around since 2017, and
You're
at
right.
that time, it was the responsibility, that was the only place where we actually had in the ordinances saying who was responsible for snow removal on sidewalks was the downtown
Downtown.
core, was the businesses. It had always been that way ever since we've had our business downtown. We were always responsible for our own sidewalks.
When I had the business, I mean, I made sure we maintained ours, and then I didn't know, and then as a resident now, I was pleased it was there, but I was taking care of my own too, so, I mean,
And just to be clear, the city plows all of the sidewalks in the entirety of the city. Right now, both our Ventrac and our John Deere have V-blades on them because the snow was getting so thick that they couldn't just use a side blade.
Is there any other discussion or comments?
if we're talking about that, it's like if we're gonna use de-icing materials, make sure it's pet friendly, because you can't do anything that can't be for pets or something.
So just for clarification again,
Good point.
The de-icing is just downtown.
the icing
And
is
it's
just
not even
downtown.
all that, you had a map, but you probably can't find it, because it's not even all the downtown streets, it's a
It's a
small-
majority of the downtown sidewalks.
Yeah, it doesn't cover though the riverfront along the back
Right.
of Water Street. not even, even the sidewalk portion of that, but of course that sidewalk's also all janked out, so
So,
probably why they don't want to go over it with a plow.
so if I may, Mayor, tonight's agenda item
It's
is
just a
just a
budget.
budget
Yes,
adjustment.
yes.
So we can pay what we have to pay, what we've agreed to pay,
Talk about it
and give
more.
us some cushion to get through February.
All right.
And hopefully spring comes
Yes,
with
Joel.
March.
All right.
I
we'll
would
move
recommend,
on.
though, at a later meeting date, we schedule time to discuss this after the DDA has
We
time
do
to
have
review
a
it.
session on Saturday, I guess, since that's a budget strategic planning, isn't it?
Correct.
Well, I'd like to hear what the DDA has to say as well, since they are all business owners on there. All right, so the item in front of you is a request to approve a budget adjustment for downtown winter maintenance. Can I get a motion to approve this budget adjustment?
Make a motion to approve the budget adjustment.
Supported.
Moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, now I will move down to 11E1, which is a request to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Right. It's requested that the city council approve accounts payable in the amount of $139,549.10 and payroll in the amount of $113,969.54 for a total disbursement of $253,518.64. Motion to approve?
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any comments or questions from council? No? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 11E2 is review of the January 2026 revenue and expenditure report.
Yes, so this is a annual or a monthly report we provide the city council. It identifies where we are with our revenue and expenditures. You don't take any action on this. All you do is you just receive it as information. Any questions regarding the report that was submitted to you?
I don't have any questions. I just still want to say thanks that we get this on a monthly basis and to thank our people in accounting and Tracy for providing it and keeping up to date on it. And that it's available also in our packet for all the residents if they ever want to see. So we're being completely transparent on where all the money is.
And then again, just reiterate to city council, we're an open book. If you want to sit down and meet with us to go over some of this stuff, feel free. Today, we received an email from Councilmember Walker asking a question about revenue and property taxes, and we were able to respond, and thankfully, he shared that with the remaining of the council on what our response was regarding that, on how we collect taxes, so it's always good to get more information and be educated.
All right, anything else from council on that? All right, seeing none. 11E3 is a request to adopt Resolution 26.07, a resolution of determination regarding the single lot assessments that are eligible to be added to the tax year 2026 tax roll.
Thank you, Mayor. So at the end of 2025, our accounting staff went through, identified all unpaid bills for city services that were provided to various residents. This mostly is for unpaid garbage bills for our downtown, as well as unpaid mowing services that were provided to people who did not mow their lawn in accordance with our ordinance, as well as one lost water meter. The total is $2,827. It is part of this process. You will be adopting this resolution, which allows us to start the process to add these costs to the tax roll for 2026. This is an annual process we do.
Can I get a motion to adopt Resolution 26.07?
Motion to adopt resolution 26.07.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion amongst council? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 11E4 is a review of the updated Griswold Auditorium Capital Improvements detail and renovation proposals.
I'll go ahead and take this one. This is just keeping the council abreast of the progress that we're making over at the Griswold. I gave an update back in December as to where we were at with some of our fundraising efforts. And just as we continue to envision moving forward there at the Griswold, kind of walking you through the scope of work that we're proposing for the Marilla Lounge. We have talked at some time, or for some time, excuse me, about creating a space that is flexible and designed to host intimate gatherings, small entertainment acts, and concession services for audiences before, during, and after performances in the larger auditorium. So we contracted with the Speckled Dahlia. They are an Allegan-based interior designer to come up with some concepts for this room. This is facing the south window that overlooks Hanson Park behind the building. You can see the big windows. And again, just creating that space that we want to be cozy, warm, a room that we want to encourage people to hang out in, spend time in, listen to music, enjoy a beverage. This is now looking out the north windows toward the Episcopal Church of the Good Shepherd. To the left there is where the kitchenette currently exists and our kind of makeshift bar top that we have in there currently, which does the job but doesn't really quite fit the aesthetic like this rendering does. Again, just kind of matching the craftsman style of the building that's going to be 100 years old in a few years, and just kind of allowing the space to live in that kind of time period a little bit better than it does now. You can see a nice cozy fireplace, again, just encouraging people to sit. The type of furniture that was selected just wants people to hang out in it and spend some time in it. And then the kind of second project that we're looking at tackling is the front entrance of the building, proposing a fully ADA compliant entry. Right now you're looking at those front doors that have several steps up to them. Right now, anybody that may be challenged with their mobility is asked to enter off the side of the building as kind of like a secondary entrance, and we want to make that front door just as accessible as the side door, so everybody's coming in through the same set of doors. These renderings we worked with Kugelart Construction to develop. Again, another Allegan-based contractor, and a couple of different versions here where you can see it's kind of the whole lawn is on a bit of a incline up to the building. So we have a new ramp with railing leading to the front doors that would also be outfitted with the automatic buttons, so that when somebody approaches the door, they can push the button and the door will open for them. The plan is to just keep those same doors that are on there now and just outfit them with new hardware, so we're not replacing them or modernizing the doors themselves, just the hardware to have them open automatically. And then it doesn't show it in the rendering, but we've asked for railing as well to go to that side entrance for anybody who still might be using that. We want to make sure that that's safe too, so we'll be adding railing there. And then just to kind of tie it all together is updating the sign on the front lawn. Right now it is just kind of got its own plastic letters that go in there, and the letters are old and broken and brittle, and they don't sit right no matter how hard you try. And being able to have a digital sign there to program upcoming events with ease, but also we would be able to more easily advertise things like Bridgefest or Rolling on the River or other city-sponsored events there at the Griswold. This concept that we're showing here on the screen was done by Sign Art out of Kalamazoo. They have serviced the Regent Theater neon marquee for the last decade, and then they also did our new parking lot identifiers that were installed back in the fall. So those three projects that we just kind of went through total just over $274,000. Right now, again, this was an update that we gave back in December, but just as a reminder, we've received a gift from Robert Faskey, who passed away last year, an Allegan City resident, who gifted the city with over $111,000 The Allegan County Community Foundation gifted us $8,000 through a grant that our CEDAM fellow, Mohammed Gabo, successfully applied for. The Allegan Lions Club held their second fundraiser event of Escanaba into Moonlight back in October, and that raised just over $5,000. And then we have a remaining amount of just over $34,000 in our fiscal year 26 capital improvement project for the Griswold. That was part of the work that was done by Vintage Building and Restoration out of Hastings last year to repair windows, fire escapes, the roof at the front of the building, all that fun stuff. So that amount of money remains for a total of just over $158,000. And then we are in the process of, we have applied for the Michigan Arts and Culture Council grant. The Art of Allegan fundraiser is coming up on March 14 with our fundraising goal of $10,000. We're in the process of submitting to the T-Mobile Hometown Grant for $50,000, and we have budgeted $50,000 in the fiscal year 27 capital improvement line for the building, for a grand total there of $298,000 and some change to cover that $274,000 budgeted cost for these improvements. Yeah, so we just kind of want to hear, there's no decision tonight, but putting this stuff in front of you, get some feedback on what you saw, the designs, the prioritization of these projects, because it's a big building, it's an old building, and there are a number of projects that we would love to do, but, you know, it's just a matter of them being possible.
Priority for me is the restrooms. Handicap accessible restrooms on that first floor.
Yeah, we have the single stall one
Yeah,
that's accessible.
But it's,
Yep.
So these are all high budgeted. And part of the lounge upgrades was what would it be for us to expand and knock out the wall between the existing accessible restroom and the office area, and just redesign that and put 2 ADA restrooms. Yep, but they have to be ADA, so they have to, be 7 feet by 7 feet. That would reduce the area of the office that we have there, but that office really just needs to be a ticket-taking office. Where you walk in, you stand up, you got a computer on the wall, you swipe, and go from there.
and you keep the historical ticket window.
Keep the
and all
historic
that.
ticket window, yeah.
Otherwise, I'd say you could get rid of the ticket window in its entirety, and just you take tickets as you come in.
Yeah.
My
We
question-
kicked that idea. Some other people in town
I-
got upset about that when I kicked that idea.
To me, that's a historic part of that building.
My
Yeah.
bigger question is, we have a report from our, what is our city
Record of engineer.
record of engineer on the Griswold, and I don't see a lot of the upgrades that were in that, which were the HVAC boiler. There's a lot of things in there also. Are those gonna come up? Because those are some big ticket items as well that we know are possibilities and also needing to get addressed. There's that. The second thing is, I think if we're gonna use the grant or the gift in its entirety, I think it would be a waste not to try to make it a matching type thing where we involve the community to say, we wanna do these improvements. We have this amount of funding, and if we can make our own matching to say, we have $111,000.
Very much so.
So that then we can actually make that gift go much farther.
Yep.
Also, I still want to see, we've had taken the use or the promotion and kept the promotion in-house for the Griswold. And I still have a question, do we want to use any outside promoters to try to bring more events to make it more long-term sustainable?
Yep.
Because we can keep making improvements, putting lipstick and prettiness onto Griswold, but if it isn't getting used and it's just a
Big building.
big building that has big cost.
Correct. So one thing we'll do is we will recirculate the proposal we got back in 23, was it? Or 22 maybe?
Yeah, it may have been 22.
Might have been 21 even.
Yeah.
When we first engaged an outside promoter and how much they wanted to charge us to do things there. We have engaged West Michigan acts, where they do their own promotion, their own ticket sales the comedy group that was there this past year. We went that way, and that was, I think, somewhat successful as a process for us. I will point out that after 4 years of trying to work with the state, we were fortunate that this year, our Representative Rochelle Smith, who's the Speaker Pro Tem this year, introduced legislation to reduce the population threshold for municipal liquor license for civically owned buildings from 5,500, which were under, to 5,000, which were over. And it's been referred to committee already. On Friday at the ribbon cutting that occurred downtown, I got a chance to talk to her. She asked me if I'd be okay to come and, testify in front of the committee, or if I'm too afraid, not afraid, but if that's not my thing. And I said, I have no problem putting on a jacket and tie and, presenting the Allegan's case on why that law should be changed. Securing that will make this a lot more attractive
For promoters as
for
well as for
promoters,
concerts and other.
since they don't have to worry about us applying for a liquor license under our name. It also makes it a lot more attractive to wedding reservations and so forth, because that comes with the package.
And then the other thing, of course, is, like I said, the report that we have, I'd like to probably recirculate that as well,
Yeah, we can do that.
because I know most of the members on council have not seen that report on the Griswold that we had on all the improvements and things that need to be done. And if you want to kind of mark in there what has been done, because if I remember, some things have been, like the tuck point. and
The
a
tuck
couple other
point, the
things.
plaster repair, twice now has been done. We do talk about the HVAC system, because that will be a heavy lift when time comes. The boiler keeps on passing inspections and is still proven to be useful to us. As part of the lounge redesign, along with the ADA entry, because we are going to be doing work on what I'm going to call the outdoor patio or alcove that's on the east side of the building. Kugelart Construction was informing us that we really should relocate that cooling unit to the back of the building, which will free up that space, clean it up, and go with a higher quality mini split that's in there right now.
Except for the back of the building is under full sun all day.
So not the far, far back, just the back of that little lounge area. So it's under full sun half day.
Yeah.
Eventually, the big building blocks it.
But yeah, so, yeah, I'm okay looking at this. I think it's just, I want to see that grant money, or the gift money go farther. And I think one of the ways, like we saw with the park upgrades, where
Yep.
we involve the community. Like I said in the past, when we want to do big projects like this, the easiest way to get the community to actually give money is to actually have a project that they can say, this is what we're actually doing it for, is these type of upgrades. This is what we're, they have something substantive to say, yeah, I'll give $20 or $30 because I want a new entrance. I want that new lounge, or, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera.
Well,
It's just hey, give us some money so we can put it into our fund over at the community foundation. It's not as attractive, I think, to a lot of people.
Well, and I just want to say kudos to the presentation that you've made, and it's in the packet, because those renderings and everything will help facilitate that. And I want to say kudos to the design on the front, because the person I'm dating is 88, and that will be so helpful with that incline. And it also, I like the approach, because you get to appreciate the building more when you're walking across it instead of in front of it. So I like it.
The last one that I don't think we ever put any numbers towards was making a load-in, load-out area over on the side between us and the Verizon building. What would be involved in cost to actually make a lift there to be able to lift up and bring stuff into and out of the Griswold without having to come through our front entrance? Because of course, with that new ADA entrance, coming through that front entrance, now you're gonna have to make the turn and.
So what we're not showing you is the quick estimate that Kugelart gave to us to put in an elevator on the west side of the building. So it'd be a building addition, because that's the best way to do it. That would be accessible from the lower level all the way up to the third level where ACP has their meetings at. That's Allegan Community Players. And signed with that was what is best designed as a covered gangway, covered by brick, enclosed by brick, so it meets the building design, that runs the length of the building what will give us that easy load in, load out from the outside instead of coming in through the front doors or the side doors that they do right now. So those are things that we've also kind of kicked around, and we're building a long-term plan, capital plan. It's just, we're getting, in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and not,
Yeah, the elevator, I'm not as strictly concerned about to the third floor, only because the theater section is not accessible and will never be accessible with the slope.
yep,
And the only thing that is up on that third floor is the second lounge.
yeah.
And if the ACP wanted to have their meetings in the Marilla Lounge, I would be fine with them having on the first floor if they wanted accessible. There's other places to have those meetings. But if that was a major cost, that elevator. But the load in, load out has been something I know has been brought up many times in the past about bringing bigger shows was one of the complaints.
And that we have no place for anybody to stay.
Well, that's one thing. I can only solve one thing at a time. I can look at, the things that we actually own and control.
You guys want to build a hotel?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, all right.
Any other, before we leave this, I'm seeing you guys are confident and comfortable with the direction?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to direct staff to, let's rock and roll.
All right, moving down to agenda item number 13 is the second public comment time of the evening. If there's a public comment, please approach the podium and state your name and address. I see no public comment, so I will move down to agenda item number 14 is communications from the city manager.
There are a few things I'm going to go over this evening, so bear with me, please. First is the Art in Allegan, which is the Griswold fundraiser on March 14th. In front of you is the schedule for the day. I anticipate and hope to see most council members stop in at some point during this celebration of art. It's also is part of the fundraiser for council. It starts at 9 in the morning with concessions, art sale, and a silent auction that will be running throughout the day till 6 o'clock. You then have art classes that you can sign up both from 10 to 12, then again from 2 to 4. That's going to occur in the banquet room in the lower level. You then will have drop-in do-it-yourself art projects at the Sassy Olive Eccentric Garden in Essenberg. That is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. At their locations in downtown. Then there will be Griswold behind-the-scenes tours that will be occurring at 10:30 a.m., 12 p.m., and 1:30 p.m. This will get you to all parts of the Griswold, so you'll be able to see everything this wonderful jewel has to offer the city. And then from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., we're going to have food trucks at the Griswold. One will be up high on Hubbard Street, and one will be down below at Hanson Park. Then at 4:15, we will be showing a movie called Loving Vincent. And there'll be a special preview by the Allegan Community Players. And then we wrap it up around 6:45. As part of this process, we are selling this poster, which is out in the hallway or the lobby of City Hall right now. It is $25. It is original artwork by Paulette Carr, a local artist. She took inspiration from The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh and put a little Allegan twist on it with our Griswold Auditorium, our lighted 2nd Street Bridge, and the Episcopal Church, which is across from Griswold. The volunteer sign-up was sent out 2 weeks ago. I don't know where we stand on volunteers, but we'll go ahead and send that out again this week if it's not fully filled up yet. Now we're going to talk about the water main break under Marshall Street. I wish the audience would have stayed. You can cover it for me? All right, so starting on Wednesday, a water main break under Marshall Street was first reported around 8 p.m. Water utility staff worked through the night to locate the break and identify valves in our water system so they could isolate the break. For those of you that may not understand how a water system works, we have gigantic pipes in the ground, 12-inch, 8-inch, 6-inch, 4-inch. Throughout the whole system, as they crisscross our community, we have valves in those pipes. where we take what's called a T-wrench. It's about 6 feet long, and it looks just like a T. You stick one in onto the valve. First, you remove the valve cover from the asphalt. Then you stick that down the hole, and then you twist it one way to close it and one way to open it. That shuts water from going through that pipe. So when you have a water main break, the best thing you can do is close off those valves near the water main break. And hopefully you can do what's called isolating the break. No more water is going through that pipe at that time. Many of our valves from years of neglect are inoperable, or quite a few of those valves were unable to be located. This is because some homeowners or contractors have covered them up with concrete or asphalt. Some are not where they are supposed to be according to these plans that have been developed over time. So they just could not locate the valves to isolate this break. Next. On Thursday, the water was shut off in the morning to the Swan neighborhood. Milbacher and Sons then was contacted for assistance. We realized at that time this was a big project and we were going to need more hands on deck. As the road was excavated, several more longitudinal breaks were found. So you have two kind of breaks. You have what's called a radial break, so where the pipe just kind of breaks and you got to deal with this section, or you have a longitudinal break where the pipe is cracking a long ways down. So we were just constantly finding, breaks in this main. The main was finally isolated on Thursday at 10 p.m. This led to water shut off for Rossman neighborhood in addition to the Swan neighborhood. The underside of Marshall Street was partially washed away. MDOT closed the road. On Thursday continued, we also had a loss of water pressure that occurred around 11 a.m. for the low pressure district during the isolation process. So as they were moving out, trying to close off valves to find a valve that could close it, as it would work, because it's an interconnected system, one of the valves that got closed off was connected to our other low pressure system, and that made a drop in the pressure occur. And we all experienced that. I happened to be washing my hands and it happened. And I went, what the heck? Because I knew the break in the main already occurred. So that led to the boil water notice for a significant portion of the city. On Friday, crews worked through the day to cut the main and install 2 thrust blocks. Water was restored to Swan and Rossman neighborhoods around 6 p.m. on Friday night. On Saturday, we had the boil water advisory lifted for most of the affected water customers around 6 that evening. And then on Sunday, the boil water advisory was lifted for all water customers around 7:30. Ongoing this week, Marshall Street, M89, is going to remain closed to traffic until the road can be repaired. At this time, I have been informed it will be Wednesday when the asphalt company can get in. But again, this is all weather dependent. And our hope is on Wednesday it can be reopened. Throughout the entire emergency, staff was in contact with Allegan Public Schools, Eagle, Beacon Allegan Hospital, Perigo, MDOT, and the community via the text messaging service, website, Facebook, phone calls coming into City Hall, and countless emails coming to staff where residents had our emails. The Water Utility Director, Zach Kortz, conducted interviews with Wood TV 8, Channel 3, and Fox 17. Staff secured 275 cases of bottled water, and we set up distribution locations at Rossman Park, the vacant commercial lot next to McDonald's along M89, as well as City Hall. Staff from different departments stepped up and combined or contributed to helping with this emergency. Later this week, we will debrief on the situation. We're going to identify what we did well during this emergency and what we can do better as we begin as well as putting together the costs that we incurred through this project. So 2 things I'd like to say. First of all, to the staff, and it was really shared from staff to me. They were impressed on how well we worked together. I mean, when you have DPW staff stopping their truck to call me over to say, this is really this is a good sign of what kind of group we are. And we were really fortunate. And it was staff from the police department that night when I called and said, hey, I need another cruiser just parked down here with its blue lights on, just to let passerbys know, slow down, because the road wasn't closed yet. And Cody was the only officer on that night, and he came down, we hopped in my Ranger, we went back, we grabbed the truck, and we brought that truck back. That was a good example of us working together. That morning, Josh Morgan and Police Chief Jay Gibson, helping with the detours, stopping cars who, for some reason, think they're special enough to drive around 3 Type 3 barricades. I guess they don't know what that means, but they were there to help us out. Our DPW staff hopping in the hole with our water utility staff to help drain that hole as it continually filled up. Our city hall staff taking phone call after phone call after phone call, and them learning on the fly about what a water main break is, what a boil water advisory means, what 3 consecutive tests of no bacteria mean, was really impressive. Ryan Berza working over the weekend, staying in communication or contact with me as we were posting, the notices that had to be posted and sent out. There wasn't one department that didn't step up and, come to this aid. And I'm very thankful, specifically for the Water Utilities Department staff who worked ungodly hours that day, all the while being as safe as possible and not, putting themselves in, harm's way on an active construction project. And then Tantric Brewing, who, to their own accord, said, hey, we can boil water, lots of water at one time. We can store it. Seti, will you help promote we're going to do this? And it was a very quick, no duh. Of course we're going to help promote that. That was a great step up. And then I'll be remiss, I wasn't told not to say this. My wife made 4 dozen cookies for the workers on Friday and delivered, well, I delivered, but she made the cookies and we delivered 4 dozen cookies to all the workers working out there on the job site. In addition to that, on Saturday, when we had remaining bottles of water, my wife and I went to the DPW, jumped in a Ford F-250 pickup truck, which is the biggest truck I've ever been in. I'm more of a Ford Ranger, small truck guy. And we, drove a truck over here full of water, and we stacked it here in front of City Hall, or in the lobby here at City Hall, for people to pick up. So it was a combination of city workers and community members that were really helping each other. We have some pictures I'm going to show you just so you can get an idea of the work that is part of this. So you can see the water bubbling up. That is a sign of your water main leak breaking underneath the road. You can see the workers working in the pipe. You'll see 2 water leaks right there. This was occurring all the way down that main. Go to the next one. Oh yeah, so that is the nozzle to our Vector truck. They are sucking the water up. That is filling the hole. The next pictures, I think, show some really cool stuff. Additional longitudinal cracks that are occurring. You can see nighttime picture of them working into the night of the water main just really out of control. So at this point, we've made one cut, and we are trying to place a 4x4 post into the pipe it's called vampire staking. We're trying to vampire stake that pipe. Just slam it in. Next picture, you can see how quick these holes fill up. They are not being lazy on this right here, just sitting down. You can see the bubbles where the water is still coming up from that pipe that they cut. The next one, you can see where we have another hose, that green hose, connected to what's called a trash pump. When Zach told me we had to get the trash pump out, I said, are you just trying to set me up to buy a pump, already calling this pump trash? No, a trash pump is a technical term. It pretty much means it can pump any kind of liquid through it, whether it's really thin water or thick slurry stuff. So we got the trash pump going pretty good for us. This shows the thrust blocker that was installed right there. And you can see the water still kind of pouring out as they were trying to get it there. Our Vector trucks in the background. And then the final picture is our SCADA system that measures all of our water system for us. So what you're seeing on the screen there are the 3 water towers. And then our water pumps in the plant that is on the, right where you are there, Parker. So we are monitoring those the whole time as something's going on with our water system. I think so. So I know it was extremely disheartening, inconvenient, no fun for residents and businesses that were without water for a couple days. As I kept council updated throughout the whole process in email, I don't think any of you called me or texted me for additional information, so I assumed what I was providing was sufficient. We will be meeting, as I mentioned, the staff over the next few days to get the entire costs. We want to wait until all the costs come in. Like I said, the asphalt's not being poured until Wednesday, so there's no need to give like a running cost idea of where we're at. But this is, this was a big project, big emergency. To those that have told us that we didn't know how to shut down the water, we didn't know where the valves were, etc. I have full faith in the staff we have. I think they responded admirably to this emergency. And as I've mentioned to this council multiple times, we have old infrastructure that we have to figure out a way to, invest in it and bring it up to code, to today's standards, so it works. Any questions regarding the water main break and where we are?
For me, I would just want to see, after you've done a debrief and review of what went well and what went bad, if there's any type of report or any recommendations out of that, I'd like to see those come back, as well as I believe we're supposed to have, where we're doing a valve exercise of our valves for that we can maintain, that we can shut them off, and just make sure what we're doing there. The last one is, what are we doing on a water utilities director? Because we still haven't heard what direction we're going, whether we're going in-house and bring somebody in, or where that's going. And I'd like to have an update on that in the future as well.
I can give you that update right now, and I apologize. Water Utilities Director, like most department heads, do not require council appointment, but I probably should have kept you guys in the loop. Was it last week?
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah, it just happened. So right before the water main break, thank you, Tracy, for having my back on this one. We appointed Zach Courts to be our full-time water utilities director. We had Zach go through the water rate program with the Michigan Water Rural Association. It's the spreadsheet that we use, has about 60 tabs on it. Historically, our finance director, Tracy Stahl, sits in on that program with MWRA, Michigan Water Rural Association, and the Water Utilities Director. Previously, it was Doug Swears. It's a 2-day process. After the second day, I just pulled Tracy in, and Tracy just said, yeah, he has the chops. I know he has the full backing and support of his staff. So he became Water Utilities Director. What that then did is it created a hole at the water treatment plant. Zach requested that he be allowed to bring Chad Fulton, who is currently at the DPW, back to water utilities. Chad worked for the water utilities for the past 3 years before he jumped over to the DPW to be the assistant director when Doug Codsman left in October. So he's only been at the DPW for 3 months. Chad was more than willing to come back to water utilities. His opinion, more or less, was he'll do whatever the city needs to make the city move forward. So Zach was able to get the individual that he needed. And that resulted in Kyle Gleason, who was the runner-up for the assistant director. Jeff made him the assistant director of DPW. So right now, we're down 1 position in water utilities. And Zach and Carol Canales, who is our HR person, along with Tracy, are going through resumes right now and looking at what type of person they're going to hire for that position. And water utilities is going to be a person that is part of the water distribution sewer collection. So the guys that were in the hole up to their neck in water, those are the kind of guys we're looking for.
Did we get all of our licensing requirements covered? I
Yes,
know
so
that
all of
was
our
one of the-
licensing, yeah, all the licensing requirements are covered.
So that was one thing that was still up in the air, was
Yep.
somebody was still going for a license. So I
Yeah,
just
so
wanna
we're,
make
so
sure.
we're, so Zach has the water plant covered, Jim Grease has the sewer plant covered, or the water resource recovery facility covered. Sean Halku, as a city employee, has the S2 for this, the distribution and collection system covered.
Those are my only comments on
Yeah,
it.
and I apologize again for not sharing that news.
Other than you guys made Second Street one direction, so it makes it really hard to get to my house.
Yep,
Block the roundabout, so I have to go the wrong way to get across.
yep.
Or
I'm
go
like,
a really long distance to get home.
understood.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about, one of the chief complaints, I think, for this whole experience was when people knew. And I know that some people got alerts on their phone, like an Amber Alert. Some people got text messages. Some people saw it on Facebook. But I thought it'd be a good opportunity for transparency and communication for us to remind people how they can get in contact with the city, how the city can push out that information, because if we do have an aging infrastructure, this could happen again. And if we could kind of be proactive and say, hey, this is how you can get this information sooner, faster, I think that would be a good way for us to maybe avoid that kind of disconnect in the future.
So the text messaging thing, this was really good, because we didn't have a lot of people signed up for that. And as soon as this thing happened, I think we had over,
Yeah, so on, let's say Wednesday morning, I think we had 60 numbers subscribed to our text messaging service, and as of today, we have over 300. So, unfortunate situation to have this many people subscribe, but now we have a building network of numbers that we can push out information in an emergency like this, so.
Reminder in our next billing, and it's also in the email bills of that system, I think.
yep, and then we can do that.
And it's not easily found on our website.
Yeah, for the first couple of months, we had a little pop-up. So as
Yeah.
soon as you visited the website, it was like, sign up for text alerts. Now it lives under our residents tab. It says residents, and there's a bunch of drop-down menu items, and it says, sign up for text message alerts, or text alerts. And then folks can go and sign up there. We have had it when the council has set up at events like Bridgefest. We have a little QR code, and then at any of our public open houses, we've put it up there, and then it lives kind of in the front window at the front office for people to scan and upload. But when we started announcing, all of these alerts on our Facebook page, we had a link that said sign up for text message alerts, and people were following that link and then signing up as those posts are coming out online too, so.
And then just one, Councilmember Clark, in regards to the Amber Alert thing. So that was news to me. It was the fire chief, Nick Brink, called me to check in on how I was doing, because he was on Facebook, and he goes, do you want us to send something out on our EOC through Allegan County's Emergency Operations Center? I'm like, what's that? I know what the Emergency Operations Center is, but he goes, dude, we have a system where we can send an alert out to a geographic area. And I said, oh, that's good to know, yes. And then the police chief, Jay Gibson, contacted me maybe an hour later and said, do you want to review it before we send it out? And there was too many balls in the air. I'm like, I trust you guys to say the right stuff. Send it out. So that's part of the learning. Part of the debriefing is going to say, hey, here's a quick way. I did have some people tell me that was unnecessary because they thought we were being attacked when their phones just exploded on their desks. And so,
I would say go to Korea sometime and deal with all the alerts for all the missing people. It's constant over there when I was over there.
okay.
No, I was actually disappointed that it took that long for that to actually come. It was more the disappointment of, this probably should have come out earlier once we had the citywide almost boil advisory, probably wouldn't. And then it's a matter of, should we be better interfacing with our EOC and getting better training with the EOC?
Yeah, so that's good. That's going to be all part of the debriefing that we're going to have, because
We can
Now
make,
that you know there
now
is
that we
one.
know, that's going to be one of the first things we
we can
do.
make the mayor go take it because she's technically charged during an emergency, right? I remember COVID, so
Yep, I believe the mayor is the one that's in charge
well.
during
you're technically.
the emergency
the one in charge.
orders. This wasn't so much of the emergency order, this was more of a, hey, heads up, things aren't normal.
But yeah, so I was fine with that. I was just a little disappointed. I was gonna ask why that was a little late on the delivery, just because.
Because we didn't know it. And once
That's
we
what I
knew it,
figured.
we hopped on it.
All right, are we ready for roundtable? You got it, nothing else? All right, we'll start down here. Councilperson Clark. All right, you said what you said. All right, Councilperson Westover.
I'm all set, Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilperson Walker.
I just want to say with that we will, if anyone can get the bottles out, that, all the water bottles, we'll take them at Broken Arrow, no charge, no nothing. We'll just collect them all but it just means people have to get them out or preferably not put bags in my driveway, but you just take them. Broken Arrow on M89. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Councilperson Canales.
Yeah, I just want to say, I had actually stopped out there when the break, like, the next morning. I didn't even know how bad it was. It's amazing how quickly things can go sideways. And it's great that all the city staff worked together really well to get this taken care of. It's a lot of work. I definitely wouldn't want to be standing in those wet, cold water pits. So thanks, everybody, for getting that done.
And Councilperson Hooker.
Most people have said it already, but, so I want to thank you again, Joel. I thought you guys and all the city staff that came in, the water department, Tantric, everybody just came together, and I was really proud of our community. I thought the communication was great, like, outside of me being council, like, I was getting text alerts, I was seeing it on Facebook, I got the emergency alert, it was on the news, it was everywhere. So I thought you guys did an amazing job, and I was gonna remind people, like, do those text alerts. If you wanna know what's going on, sign up, because I knew relatively quickly what was going on with those text alerts. And it was very detailed, and you kept updating us, which I really appreciated, so thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Hance.
Nothing for me.
All right. Yeah, just want to thank city staff again, everybody coming together. I caught a snippet of Zach on the news. At that time, I didn't know he had been promoted to the department head there, but I thought he was very professional. I was like, way to go, Zach. He explained what was going on, and that's when I first heard about that it was breaking horizontally. He even, said that in the interview of, I think he said like 50 feet, it just kept going. So he did a great job, and yeah, like Melanie said, the community came together. And that was good to see. It was an inconvenience, but there are worse inconveniences in life, and city did a great job. All right, with that, I will adjourn at 7:33.